Part 26. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 251. Dugu ruined the sky for a moment. Then the city sank into practice. Moreover, it is not exactly copied. Instead, in his own inner heaven and earth world, he added the law structure of the devouring world system. Divine structure. And the most important thing. He felt that what he should care about most was the will. The transformation of the will, in itself, is to control the law and subvert the law. Until finally detachment, he turned into the Lord of Hongmeng. That's stronger than super single, and even in diversity, it's also strong. But it's clear that within this devouring system, since that peak God King, there should be an incomparably long way to go before you can become a lord. But it doesn't seem to be written. Dugu defeating heaven studied carefully, and naturally found something strange. This is also the reason why Bang Benyuan did not release another system. That is the 293 system of the Snow Eagle world. But let's not mention it for now. After all, the Lord surnamed Dongbo has not yet joined the origin. Dugu was thinking about it, and it was already the world in the body. It seems that it is going to disintegrate and reorganize, and to develop towards the truly perfect inner heaven and earth world. A powerful aura surged, but it was firmly confined to its surroundings. This is a powerful magic circle that can isolate heaven and earth. When I opened the blind box for the first time, I got it. But it made him happy. After all, there is no need to tiptoe around anymore. And if even the formation can't stop its own breath, that proves that he has reached the level of that powerful monolithic universe. At the current level of the evil heavenly Dao, it's not necessarily his opponent, and this is not counting some of the potions he got from his origin. The power of these elixirs. But even a few supreme mages are in that technological universe with strong rules. Will not be restricted. It's just a matter of evil heaven. Wait for me to reverse the inner world and create a perfect miniature universe. Combined with the treasure of the flesh and the secret realm of human immortals, it creates a forbidden god body against the sky. When the time comes, if you break through to the level of a single universe, your combat power will definitely be extremely powerful. Let's settle accounts with your evil heavenly way again. Humph. When the time comes, it will definitely amaze these old friends. Ha 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 ha. Evil heavenly Dao didn't know that he was being remembered, and he was still asleep. After all, the last war, for the evil heavenly Dao, also needed time to recover. However, the evil heavenly way of my world is a bit like that little friend's forbidden area. It's also the life of the whole universe. What did you do? Hearing Yahei ask, Pangbo said. Let's go back and see if the demon clan has prepared a stand-in puppet for us. By the way, your mother wants you to bring a few caddies of spirit peaches back. Yahei was stunned for a moment, and said secretly in his heart, why did you finish eating the spirit peach so quickly? However, thinking of my mother's kind nature, she must not be able to withstand the official request and was asked to take part of it. It doesn't matter. If it weren't for the fact that parents didn't want to leave the familiar environment, Yahei had already made them their origins, or moved to other worlds. Got it? As for what you said about the demon clan, don't forget that you have a trace of demon god blood, you are good and we don't learn our own system? Run to learn the god of the sun on the other side. Pangbo pursed his mouth, raised his eyebrows, and snorted twice. I like it, it's a big deal to turn back when the time comes. What were you just looking at, so fascinating? Pangbo said as he ate a crocodile ancestral meat. The meat of the crocodile ancestor, except for a part of the sail. Most of them have been super high cooking skills of the little masters, and a lot of immortal medicine has been added. It is made into granules like beef grains. Carry it with you, eat a little if you have nothing to do, and strengthen your flesh and blood. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. The effect is leveraged. I'm looking at the life of that Tugu defeated senior. His world, the evil heavenly way, is like the supreme of the major forbidden areas on the Baidu. Every once in a while, the creatures of the world are harvested. Forbidden Zone Supreme. Pangbo naturally knew. He had seen the original picture of fate from Yehe. When we are stronger, we don't need to be as long as our fate. You can grow to be able to solve the exclusion zone. Not in a hurry. I'm not going to talk to you today. Zhang Hulan has something to find me, and wants to take me to a cafe to meet like-minded friends. Seeing Pangbo running away, Yehe's brows darkened. Damn. Speaking of this group of people who go to the succubus cafe to drink coffee, Yehe naturally knows it. The members of it, aren't they Zilla, Zhang Hulan, Shilen Lijing and others? I heard that the other day Zero. The demon boy Neza and Mrs. Shilenjian were blocked at the door. Slashed Lijing severely. That's a terrible man. Pangbo left, and Yehe waited here. But after a while, someone came here. Mr. Stark, I heard that you've been busy assembling your Hydra all these days. Haguro was not wrong. Stark is actually building Hydra. He secretly searched the world for Hydra and killed them all. Then build your own, righteous Hydra. And, now looking for a place to give their Hydra organization, ready to build a headquarters. It's not a good place, and as for the Earth, it certainly doesn't need to be thought about. He's not going to be here. He thought that maybe he could ask Odin to help solve it. So, through Shilen Thor, he contacted Odin with his brother-in-law Thor. Odin's reply was simple: wait. Wait for the ether particles to appear and the dark elves to descend, and that's it. Poor Stark, he didn't share the picture of fate with the Ancient One. So he doesn't know many things. As for the Avengers, he felt that the name was too low. You can't deal with the natural enemies in the dark. Stark believed in his own consciousness very much, that organization of natural enemies, very strong, very strong. Therefore, it is necessary to create a powerful 4.0 Hydra organization before that. And I'm here today to pick up something. Haha. It's Emperor Yetian. Hearing Stark's teasing, Yehe's eyebrows hung with black lines. This must be Pangbo and Zhang Hulan's big mouths, bragging everywhere. Listen to Stark continue. Hydra moths are being cleaned up. Right now, I'll be able to build a clean Hydra. By the way, Yehe, you can also put up a name. Yehe nodded, but he didn't refuse. After all, it's just a name. I didn't look at Zhang Hulan and them, they were dead every day, and they thought every day that they wanted to join the Origin Women's Alliance. It's a pity, Queen Ma, that didn't give you a chance at all. After all, their minds are the same as Sima Zhao's hearts. Passers-by know it. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 252. Okay, then. Stark grinned and threw a palm-sized piece of metal. Yehe was puzzled and took the metal that Stark threw and looked at it carefully in his hand. What's going on? Stark didn't explain directly, but slapped his hand. In an instant, a mechanical armor like a mercury fluid covered the whole body. This is the brand new Nano Armor series. Pure technology, there are no transcendent enchantments in it. This is a product of the Heavenly Origin Research Institute, the Academy of Sciences. It was a department led by his Stark father. Fabricated nanotechnology. However, armor is not a product of the Academy of Sciences. It's his own. After all, the Academy of Sciences doesn't just study armor. The products of the Academy of Sciences cover all aspects. This is the first generation of nanotechnology I made using the Origin Research Institute's nanotechnology. It is a relatively easy to carry, easy to use, and low-cost item. Yahei heard that the cost of 05 was low, and the corners of his mouth twitched. If this thing is going to be taken to its own world, I am afraid that it will be robbed of the head by mortals. A few more for you. It's kind of a benefit to us Hydra. Long live the Hydra. Yahei took dozens of palm-sized nano-armor medals and withdrew them into the space ring. This thing can be given to one's parents and one set to Pangbo's parents. Perhaps, you can also give a set to the girl who has not yet appeared. Well. Last time, I was taken care of by the Emperor, but I need to return the gift. That's right. There are also the predecessors of the Great Eucharist, clamoring to open the box. Arad's box is so expensive, let's talk about it when we don't lack money. Why hasn't Luo Feng arrived yet? It turns out that Stark is waiting for Luo Feng. It should be soon, he just said. He is still with Bubita, packing up the spaceship and other items. However, the voice just fell. Luo Feng ran over. Running was a humanoid body, controlled by its own consciousness. The real golden-horned giant beast is in the Tower of Origin, quickly controlling its body, ready to give birth to the first clone. Bubita, teach me how to make Jarvis into a life. As soon as Luo Feng arrived, he heard Stark shouting excitedly. I completely forgot that he was here to get something from Luo Feng. Don't you have a mind gem? Just use the mind gem, can't you? Bubita shuddered as she looked at Stark's eager eyes. Moreover, intelligent life forms are not so easy to succeed. Don't be careless, and it will become a cyber crisis. If you're not in a hurry, let Luo Feng get you some mechanical people to study it well. Luo Feng also hurriedly nodded and said. Mr. Stark, what Bubita said is that there is no hurry now. As he spoke, Luo Feng handed over a space ring. In this, there are a lot of materials I got out of the ruins, some spaceships and other materials, as well as the corpses of other human bloodlines in the universe. It's been enough for the Institute to study for a long time. Stark turned the ring, heard Luo Feng's answer, and nodded. That's a deal. By the way, I'm just going to get a Hydra. Luo Feng, you can also put up a name. Hydra. Luo Feng glanced at Yahei, who was happy. It seemed that Yahei knew about this. Maybe Yahei is also famous. Okay, you can. Thank you then. Stark said as he threw dozens of nano armor to Luo Feng, turned around and walked in the direction of the Origin Research Institute. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. See Stark leave. Luo Feng and Yahei looked at each other and smiled. What about Han Li and Zhang Hulan? Hearing this, Yahei pointed to the cafe where there was an endless stream of people. Zhang Hulan went there to hold a sorority. Han Li will be there later. When Luo Feng heard this, he didn't smile. That means that if you go to Hongshu's place, just the three of us. Yahei shook his head. Looking to the side, the two women walked this way. And these two girls, they're going over there. Luo Feng also turned his head to look when he heard Yahei talking about the woman. I've seen Ye Gongzi, Luo Gongzi. It's the concubine and the girl. Luo Feng knew their world, and he couldn't remember it himself, but he had Bubita's help. Whether it is the power of the kingdom or the forces of the scattered people, they are all remembered clearly by Bubita. Wanwan is not like the witch of the past, and now she is dressed appropriately, only barefoot. This time, Hong Xiang's real-time dynamic dungeon mission, my two sisters, just want to understand that world for themselves. Shi Fei also took a step forward, like a holy green lotus. Sister Wanwan is right, our cultivation has fallen into a bottleneck, and we are practicing together with human immortals and ghost immortals. I just have the opportunity to enter the world of Hong Xiangzi, but I want to thank a few sons for organizing us to join the team. Wanwan secretly glanced at Shi Fei Ming. What is Sister Wanwan called? Can't it be a sister? The two of them are now in the world of double dragons, that is, they are like immortals. It has long surpassed the legendary Shattered Void realm. But this Shattered Void is not the Shattered Void of the human immortal martial arts. The two are not the same. Whether it was Sahang Jingzai or the Demon Gate, they were all overwhelmed by the two. Even the state disputes were suppressed by the two of them. 067. The Jianghu sect no longer interferes with the mundane. Especially the chosen Emperor of Heaven. Don't say that again. After all, the ghost knows when it will be the turn of Datang to come to the origin. Previously, it was speculated that it would be Datang. As a result, it was first the Zhou people, and then the Three Kingdoms. Come to think of it, Datang should not be far away after this. I don't know what the two girls are thinking. Yahei and Luo Feng didn't care about this. After all, it is the birthplace of the Yang God system on the other side, and the people who practice the system. I want to go to the world where the system originated and realize it. It is indeed a good way to practice. Two girls, don't worry about this, Hong 11 is already greeting you. Let's go first. However, there are super single level powerhouses in that world, don't be careless. Listening to Yahei's words, concubine Shi and Wan naturally knew this. After all, if you think about it, it's a super single series powerhouse. Those few strong people in the shadows are all looking for an opportunity to step into the other side. You can't be too bounced under the noses of these people. The four of Yahei disappeared in a flash, and they had already entered the world of Hongsu. And Stark, who took something from Luo Feng and sent it to the research institute and left, also received an inexplicable task. Mutants. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 253. Long live the Hydra. Step into the Hydra's temporary lunar headquarters. Winter Soldier Bucky, who is considered to be the enemy of his father's murder, shouted the slogan very unhappily. Stark waved his hand and sat down in his large chair. However, according to the survey. Instead, the facts of the matter were clarified. Moreover, now his parents have been resurrected and joined the Origin. But I don't have so much hatred for the controlled Bucky. Stark naturally didn't know what his fate was. This incident also added the last fire to them, who were already caught in the civil war of the Avengers. And, with Stark's former nature. In the original Fate, Lu Dan invited him to join the Avengers, but many people opposed it. It's just that later, his temperament doesn't seem to have changed, but in fact, there are a lot of changes in his heart. Bucky, what's the matter? Bucky was no longer surprised by the elusiveness of Stark, a wealthy man. He also felt guilty about being controlled and killing Stark's parents. Under the persuasion, coercion, of Stark, he still chose to join this undergoing change. Led by Stark, a new Hydra organization. There aren't many official Hydra members now. Only Bucky, and Thor the God of Thunder, and Ten-Leng Thor. It's one in name. There are also very few ordinary members under the organization. It's still recruiting. Because of a lot of SHIELD members of the former Hydra organization who have disappeared these days, they can't sleep well almost every day. Halogen. The Avengers' plan of the boiled egg was also temporarily suspended. Stark rolled his eyes, and he was not surprised at all. But he opened his mouth and said, I didn't look for braised eggs to collect money, I was already helping him. It's a good SHIELD, and it's almost become a shell company of Hydra. Bucky didn't refute either, after all, Stark was telling the truth. By the way, over there, it seems that the captain has been found. Team America. Stark thought to himself, and Bucky continued. And according to the investigation, the list of Avengers of the boiled egg is in it. And Natasha, Hawkeye, Banner, and you. even under the idea of Thor, the god of thunder. The appetite for boiled eggs is quite big. Stark said nonchalantly. Thor is already our designated partner. Dr. Banner, I'll contact this green fat, as for the others. Stark's eyes narrowed, and he finally said with a smile. Go dig it all, it's our Hydra people who dig it up, and if you can't dig it, forget it. All right, you can do these things. Aren't you an old acquaintance with the captain? I'll leave this matter to you, maybe after the captain joins, it will be easier for others to convince them. As for the Avengers of the boiled egg, let him play by himself. Anyway, something that threatens the planet will happen in the future. It's all handed over to us righteous Hydra. Long live the Hydra. The corner of Bucky's eye twitched, and he hurriedly left. Seeing Bucky leave, Jarvis was sorting out some information. That's when Stark remembered about the mutants' mission. Ex-Police Apocalypse Secret World. Info, mutants, supers. Mission, kill Apocalypse. A lot of information got into Stark's head. Mutants, new humans with all sorts of superpowers. Timeline. After reversing the future. Hey, this Sentry robot is a little weaker, but it's pretty good. When the time comes, we'll see if there's any research left. And this enemy, the Apocalypse, the ancient mutants, powerful, immortal. Not bad, not bad. No, I'm a member of Hydra, can I get a lot of them here? Ha ha ha. Read the violent novel, go to the Phila Novel Network. In the old Chinese pluralistic system, God helps me. Stark's eyes lit up, and he got the idea of the mutants. But he didn't get carried away either, researching some mutant information. All kinds of superpowers, you need special armor. Ordinary armor, a direct chance to be taken by Magneto, and that powerful psychic ability. Jarvis! Stark shouted, and stopped. His own pure technology metal armor, of course, is not good there. Even nanometals. Magneto's magnetic power is very strong. And the armor of the Transcendent class. The first generation of Transcendent armor that is being studied now is mainly aimed at magic. It's supposed to be an extraordinary magic armor, but it's a bit troublesome in terms of energy manufacturing. So it's only a semi-finished product. It seems that this time only that one piece of armor can be used. Wrong. It should be said that it is a battle suit. Or the holy vestments. Golden vestments. With a plan in mind, Stark didn't procrastinate. As for the group of people. It's still a group, after all, I'm afraid of accidents. X-Men Apocalypse Secret World Group Opening. Thor joins the team. 10 Lang Thor joins the team. 10 Cold River Gods join the team. 10 Cold Athena joins the team. Are you sure we don't care? Thor's red cloak shook and fluttered in the air along with the cloak of Shilentor on his shoulders. Sure enough, they were two brothers. Except for the difference in species, the temperament is almost the same. No need, you guys go and play casually, I'm mainly here to recruit people for us Hydra. It's really dangerous, I'll greet you in advance. Wang. I'm going to do it, it's boring anyway. Boring fart, my mother is going to be annoyed to death, I am urged to marry every day, you are a fool. Stark looked at Athena's fierceness. I can't figure out what kind of character Athena, gone, from another unknown world should be. There is still a powerful saint warrior to protect it. He still knows how strong his golden holy clothes are. I really want to let the Athena of the unknown world meet with this Shilen Athena. By the way, Stark, do you have any news of Loki? It was only when Thor asked, that Stark remembered this. That's right. Loki came to Earth and snatched the cosmic Rubik's Cube. He should be going to do something in this moment. Wang. 10 Lang Thor whispered with grief in his eyes. Thor, the god of thunder, nodded as if he understood. Yes, my brother did something wrong, so naturally we have to be the elder brother to solve it. Stark, don't forget to remind me when the time comes. Stark nodded. Rest assured. Let's go to the mutant world first. Strategy for the All Heavens dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 254. Stark looked around him, and it was in the middle of a forest. Jarvis, gather information about this world. Especially information related to mutants. Very good, sir. Thor and a few people are not there, so it should be where the teleportation went. They're like hole cards. If you're really in danger, or if you can't do it yourself, you can find them. This time, I'm targeting mutants. Used to flesh out my Hydra departments. Since you are in this world, you are almost incompatible with ordinary people. Then I will provide you with paradise. Both sides are mutually beneficial. Just as he was thinking about it, a small cry reached Stark's head. Although he often develops battle armor, his cultivation has not been left behind. The five senses are powerful, and the soul and mind can see clearly within a kilometer or two of themselves. Not to mention the various props. Install a plug-and-play 9-hook Jade Reincarnation Eye. Or the latest demonic potion developed in the new world of pirates. You can play a strong strength casually. Speaking of Demon 977 Elixir, this is a combination of devil fruit and specialty demon crystal. This is a new type of extraordinary medicine that has been developed. There are many types of medicines. Stark bought some time-sensitive potions. Be able to possess the power of a certain devil fruit for a period of time. And there are many other types. For example, it is a demonic potion that can be drunk to obtain the full power of the devil fruit. Don't mention any of that. Stark quickly took a few steps to the place where the cry had been heard. In just a few breaths, they were already in another wood. And where the cry came, more than a dozen soldiers held a little girl hostage. And the people who confronted this group of soldiers were a man and a woman. And according to the information prompt, the identity of the man who was blackmailed is also about to be revealed. It's the man of the scene, Magneto. Stark didn't understand why Magneto would be marked as a spectator by the message. But this does not affect himself at all, and he wants this Magneto to join Hydra's mind. After all, compared to the scene people, I, Stark, am a rich playboy, a respectable man known to all. Ahead, Magneto confronts the squad. Those soldiers may also know about Magneto's superpowers. So on the body, I didn't carry any metal. While watching the two sides argue, Stark frowned, guarded, and turned to look to the side. On the branches beside him, spatial fluctuations twisted. A figure jumped out of it. It was a figure covered in a dark red holster, with two swords behind him. Don't wait for Stark to speak. The man seemed surprised to see Stark. Hey, isn't this a playboy, Stark? Why did you get here? Which one are you supposed to come from? You have gathered the world of Infinity Stones. That's right, Stark. Can you talk to the boiled egg? Let me join the Avengers. My name is Wade, and you'd better call me my new codename, Deadpool. Oh yes, Stark, let's go collect Spider-Man together. Stark's brain twitched, and he was a little confused by the dark red holster weirdo who called himself Deadpool and named Wade. The man seemed to know himself. Wait, do you know me? Wade sat down on a branch, and his legs swayed, and he said, Of course I do. The name of Playboy, who doesn't know the whole Marvel? Marvel? What does it mean? Stark clearly didn't understand Wade, the wall-breaking existence. Also, what's Spider-Man? If you read a violent novel, you can go to the Philo Novel Network. What is that? Can you still collect? I don't have that fetish. When he was puzzled, Wade didn't explain, but pointed to Magneto and the others below. Look, the scene is about to lose their loved ones and start to go crazy. I'm telling you, don't look at the scene, people often get mad. He is arrogant, he has to be coaxed back by the bald head twice. And who is bald? And the next moment, Stark, who didn't wait for a daze, asked. Magneto has taken himself hostage and exchanged it for his daughter. But his daughter is also a mutant with superpowers. Flocks of various birds were summoned. Soldiers under attack. And it was in this moment. A soldier took the bow and sent the arrows in his hand to shoot out. The sharp arrow directly penetrated the bodies of Magneto's wife and daughter. This. Stark was startled. Isn't this exactly what Wade said, the loss of a loved one? How did he know what his fate would be? Who the hell is he? However, I was puzzled for a moment. I remembered what I had to do. I'm here to recruit Magneto, and his wife and daughter don't really die. Let's go, and save people. I knew you Stark had a way. Wade looked like he was right on place. After all, he can go to various worlds as calmly as he does. If it's not your own special ability, it should be a very powerful person. Stark looked like it was supposed to be the second type. Therefore, it should be very easy for him to save this ordinary person who has just been injured and is dying. Magneto was about to go crazy with his wife and daughter in his arms. Suddenly, two people came out directly. It can still be saved. Stark's words made the metal card in Lao Wan's hand stunned, and he didn't fly out to harvest his life. Wade, on the other hand, took out a DV video. The crying of the people at the scene is really moving, and it must be recorded. Stark, on the other hand, took out 2 bottles of potion and gave Magneto's wife and daughter a bottle to drink, and directly pulled out the long arrow by the way. To be honest, it's a minor injury. The 2 bottles of big red medicine directly made the 2 of them recover quickly and instantly, and opened their eyes. Magneto looked at his wife and daughter in a daze, and was full of emotion for a while. But the fierce look in his eyes flashed, and the metal card in his hand immediately flew out again. When? Just listen to the crisp sound. A golden arm directly pinched the metal card in his hand. None other than Stark. He summoned the arm of the Sagittarius golden vestment. This set of golden holy robes, in the entire origin, is only 5 sets. He's got a set in his hands. Luck is really good. Why? Magneto saw Stark stop him, but he was the lifesaver of his wife and daughter, and he didn't continue to act. Instead, he asked in a hateful voice. When is the time for retribution? Stark couldn't help but admire himself, and his writing was much better. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 255. When is the time for retribution? Magneto, who looked confused, heard Stark continue before he could speak. It's normal for ordinary people to be afraid of you. Facing you is like facing a lion and a tiger beast, and even more afraid. And if it wasn't your daughter who struck first, nothing is going to happen at all. So, let them go. Juan listened to Stark's words and looked at the group of soldiers. They knew that if it hadn't been for the sudden appearance of this man, they would have been a corpse by now. And in front of Lao Wan's eyes, his wife also shook her head at him. That's when he stopped. Let's go, are you still here to watch the play? Hearing Wade's words, the group of soldiers looked at each other, pulled their legs and ran back. Let's go, get out of here first. Stark finished speaking, and waved out a battleship. Wade looked at the battleship, knocking left and right. Hey, Stark, give me one, this thing is so handsome. Stark ignored it, opened the hatch, and let the Magneto's family inside. Wade walked last, and when he entered the inside, he saw a sign. That's the sign of the Hydra. Wang Defa. Hydra. Hey, Stark, are you going to tell me you're now in Hydra? I know what Hydra did. Even if you join Thanos, you won't add Hydra. Thanos. It seems to have been heard from the Ancient One. But there is not much information, only that it is a powerful cosmic overlord. Don't mention this now, just interrupt this first. He turned his head to look at Wade and said with a smirk. I'm not joining Hydra. Then you. I'm the boss of Hydra now, boss. Clear enough, huh? Magneto hadn't heard anything about Hydra, but these two mysterious people who suddenly appeared even though they had just saved his wife and daughter. He was still a little wary. The spaceship autonomously enters stealth mode and flies into the sky. The interior space is very large, and this is due to the addition of the immortal Biohive heavenly secret technique. So the space is much larger than it looks from the outside. This is a battleship ship enchanted with the immortal winter secret technique. The price is 10 or even dozens of times more expensive than ordinary spaceships. The average person won't buy it. But no, a rich man like Stark still likes it. The main thing is that if you go to the starry sky, you won't be bored. The interior space is greatly increased and all kinds of entertainment are provided. Able to pass the time. He is worthy of being a rich man, and even the inside of this spaceship is built so luxuriously. Waiter, I want the most expensive bottle of wine. Wade unceremoniously shouted at the intelligent robot. Magneto arranged for his wife and daughter to be on the sidelines, and a robot served pastries and drinks. That's when he walked up to Stark. Who are you? Why do you want to help me? Seeing Lawan ask, Stark was not surprised, and first said. Let's talk about it first, I'm not in the same group as that guy. Lawan looked up and saw that the guy in the red leather suit was pouring himself wine through the mask. I'm afraid I'm not a fool. Forget it, ignore him for now. Then, my name is Stark, and I'm looking for you to talk to you about something. Do you want to explain your intentions? Lawan listened and looked around, ready to have a conflict later, so he was ready to run away with his wife and daughter. Stark didn't know what Lawan was thinking. Here, you don't have to think about your superpowers. There is an immortal law prohibition here, and with your current strength, you can't break through this limitation. Stark whispered, and gave Juan and himself a glass of wine. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. Regardless of whether Lawan believes it or not, he continued. I say, if I can make all of you mutants live a carefree life. Even, go to a world where even if you show your mutant power in the open, you will not be discriminated against or persecuted in any way. Will you come with me? Of course, if you are law-abiding citizens, too. Hearing Stark's words, Lawan must not believe it for the first time. How can ordinary humans not be afraid of mutants? Impossible. No ordinary person can endure the superpower of mutants who don't know where to hide, beyond humans. Looked at Lawan's uncertain face. Stark wasn't in a hurry. He came here on a mission, by the way, mainly to recruit people for his Hydra. You can recruit as much as you want. The rest, he doesn't care. And the Magneto in front of him, and the bald professor who controls the mind, can be regarded as the two most powerful people among mutants. If you can give priority to these two people, it will be more smooth when recruiting people. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Try it and you won't lose money. Impossible. After thinking for a while, Lawan spit out these unbelieving words. Believe it or not, that's your business. I'm just telling you, in that world, no one would discriminate against mutants. Your daughter can communicate with anyone normally, and you don't have to hide in this deep mountain and old forest. All mutants, you can do that. For many. Actually, it's no different from ordinary people. That's right. Put it in the major powers. Superpowers or something, it's just an ordinary common thing. Stark said it sincerely. Look at him, and the miraculous potion that saved his wife and daughter. Let Lao Wan can't help but start to believe it. You are looking for me, you should still want me to take you to Charles. Stark nodded. With you, that's naturally better. Are you going to find the bald head? Gollum. Wade bottled bottle after bottle, and poured wine on his mask, not knowing if he drank it or not. Also, that guy from the apocalypse is about to come out. Rich, you shouldn't be here for the apocalypse, right? I said, just leave the apocalypse guy to the X-Men. Let's go find the spider. I figured it out. It's such a fun thing to join Hydra, and the benefits are so high, I want to join too. Don't you like to raise spiders? How can one be enough? I'll take you to find a few more. Everything. Spider-Woman, Spider-Mecha Warrior, Shadow Spider, Pigman. Which one do you prefer? What and what? Wade, how can this guy take a bite of a spider? I would love raising spiders. What kind of joke are you telling me, a rich and decent person? Spoon. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 256. Wade's nagging gave Stark and Lao Wan a little headache. If Stark hadn't cared about Wade, he would have known a lot of things. Otherwise, I would have kicked the tuberculosis away earlier. It's even more nagging than the occasional demon subjugation. Sir, we've found the location of X Academy. Hear Jarvis's words. Lao Wan was a little convinced that this didn't look like a mutant guy, the mysterious Mr. Starkridge. There is some credibility to what he has just said to himself. And his purpose is to go to Charles. Lao Wan firmly believes that unless Charles's psychic ability is blocked, otherwise, no one would be able to lie in front of Charles. It's such a late day, so I won't disturb the students' rest. Let's go back tomorrow. Lao Wan, you also happened to comfort your wife and daughter with 723, but they were quite frightened. Who is with you? Lao Wan pouted. And when Lao Wan was ready to get up and go to find his wife and daughter, on the side, Jarvis continued. Sir, I've found a little bit of apocalypse information. But there is not much information. Today's world is in the age of the times. The network signal is extremely underdeveloped. I suggest that my husband launch a makeshift satellite to find information faster. Stark listened to Jarvis, and then remembered the time in this world. I forgot about this stubble before. Then just launch a makeshift satellite, I've forgotten about it. After all, in the place where the apocalypse is, it is still a mess at this time. Network signals or something, you still don't have to think about it. Hearing the news of the apocalypse again, Lao Wan paused. It seems that both of these men knew about the apocalypse. And this man is also in the guise of the apocalypse. The guy named Wade also said that the apocalypse should be handed over to Charles and they would solve it. Let's talk about it. Who exactly is the apocalypse? Lao Wan sat down again, took a sip of wine, and asked directly. Who the hell is Apocalypse? Seeing Lao Wan asking, Stark didn't hide it. I can't say that this will be a member of the Hydra in the future. Apocalypse, the first mutant in your world. P.S. Movie world setting. Apocalypse, the first mutant? Lao Wan was a little surprised. And Stark continued. He is revered as the ancestor of mutants, and believes that only mutants are strong and the rulers of this world. He has a great ability to transfer consciousness. And every time he picks a body, he transforms his consciousness. He will be able to possess the superpowers of this body, and at the same time, the previous abilities will not disappear. Shift consciousness and gain mutant talent superpowers. That would mean that as long as he transferred enough mutant bodies, well, he will also have many mutant talents. No wonder he is regarded as the ancestor of mutants, and with so many mutant abilities, it must be extremely powerful. However, in the time of the ancient Ahi, the Apocalypse suffered a betrayal and fell into a deep sleep. And now, he's awake. After Stark finished speaking, he paused and looked at Lao Wan. Lao Wan, if you choose to help the Apocalypse, then you have a great chance to destroy the world. How's it going, are you interested? After the end of the world, create a new world without humans. Hearing this, Lao Wan glanced at Stark, who was smiling indifferently. Glanced at the direction that his wife and children said they were in, and shook his head. Then he stood up and said as he went. When you get to Charles, call me again. Read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network. The sky is full of wind and sand. A figure in a pitch-black robe, and a figure with black hair, resembling Stark, and wearing armor. The two of them walk slowly on the sand. Beside him, there are several laser eyes floating around. Red Knight, since you said that, this time I will die. Then you think that with your help, I will win. According to what you said, the holder of the power of the Phoenix, we can't stop it. Apocalypse, who was covered in a black robe and dressed in green skin, said indifferently. The figure of the black-haired armor was full of evil intent on his face. He is the Red Knight, one of the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, and the tainted Iron Man. Rest assured, go where you woke up and find your loyal 4 horsemen. Resurrect them. Without those 2 or 5 boys, there is a high probability, you can kill all the X-Police. 0. The body of Professor X that you want can also be successfully transferred. Apocalypse has some distrust of this guy who claims to be from another world, one of the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse. But cooperation is still possible. Let's talk about it when it succeeds. The Red Knight grinned, crazy and wanton. Glancing at the Apocalypse lightly, he spoke. If it weren't for the boss asking me to come over, I wouldn't want to help you, loser. Bang. An explosion sounded, and the sand and stones on the ground trembled, wrapping around the Red Knight's armor. The armor tugged at it, pulling the tangled sand apart. Humph. I don't want to hear the word loser anymore. Otherwise. In the words of the Apocalypse, the Red Knight, who has no respect for himself at all, is full of threats. The Red Knight Iron Man didn't make a sound. If he really wanted to fight, there was a high probability that he wouldn't be able to beat this Apocalypse. Even if you use a laser to sneak attack, you may not be able to kill him directly. This Apocalypse has so many abilities in one, and it is still very strong. If he hadn't been restrained. There was also the assist of Urwuze, which led to the final explosion in front of the Phoenix power, and he couldn't hide. Those damn warriors don't have the power to kill his Apocalypse so easily. And this time 5.0 came over. My main mission is not to save your Apocalypse. If this plan succeeds and wins, then his target is those mutants. As for Professor X's body, of course, it can't be left to you, this Apocalypse. The two walked in silence all the way, each with a ghostly mind. Until I saw a city in the middle of the desert in the distance. Following. It's dawn. Stark's stealth spaceship has already appeared in X Academy in a generous way. Directly bypassing the Academy's monitoring, it is not to be scary. Charles, who still had bushy black hair, was pushed out by the beast. With laser eyes, Phoenix's power of Jean Grey and others, they are ready to fight together. Until the familiar face of Lao Wan appeared. Only then did he let down his guard. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 257. Inside Charles's study. The Professor, the Witch, the Beast, Wan, Shockwave, Stark, Wade, and others sat around the couch. As for Jean and Cyclops, as well as the Blue Devil, they have already left, saying that they are going to the movies. and in addition to these mutants, there is also a federal agent. The federal agent whose memories were washed away by Charles is also Charles's lover. I was just picked up by the professor. The reason is simple. Because the Federation has investigated some information about the apocalypse. But now that Stark is here, this information is of little use. On the side, Wade took out his mobile phone and took photos one by one. The professor looked at Lawan apologetically. I'm sorry, Eric, I can feel the pain of losing everything at the time, it's okay now. Lawan glanced at the professor, and his heart was very unhappy. Especially when the professor mentioned that his wife and daughter almost died. Charles. Just because you can see through my brain 05, you think you can understand my pain. A hint of pain flashed across Lawan's expression. In addition to the pain of his wife and daughter dying in front of his eyes at that time, there is also the pain of not being trusted by ordinary people at all. Charles, you know what? I tried your approach, blended in with ordinary people, worked with them, lived with them. What's the catch? It's betrayal, it's fear. Lawan was angry. If it weren't for himself, he couldn't bear to see ordinary people die. So he used his ability to save the man. But in the end, he was informed. I almost lost my loved ones. Seeing that these two good friends are going to enter the quarrel mode again. The demon girl and the others didn't say anything. On the side, Stark hurriedly said. All right, these things are over. I'm here to tell you something. That's to join me, Hydra. I'm taking you to the new world, a world where no one discriminates against mutants. There, as long as you obey the law, you don't have the power to do evil. Mutants don't have to run away, they don't have to hide. Stark will repeat what Lawan said to the professor and others. And in X's hearing, there is not a trace of lies. The man who calls himself Stark is telling the truth. I have to say that even the professor is a little moved. Especially for the demonic girl and others, such a world. It's the world that mutants in dire straits should be in. You probably bought a planet. Wade read in a nutshell. Then he continued. It's a good opportunity, after all. When the bald professor goes berserk, the mutants will be almost extinct. It's miserable. Wade's words surprised the professor, Lawan, and others. Even Stark was a little surprised. This guy knows a lot. Also, in front of several mutant bosses, he directly said that they were miserable. Can't you put it mildly? Impossible. How can mutants be on the verge of extinction in the future? The demon girl Rowan trembled, turned into blue skin, and said a little angrily. Tisk. Wade was unhurried, sat down at a table, and said while taking a photo. It's as if you weren't exterminated. Before, if it wasn't for the old wolf coming over, he helped you reverse the future. Didn't the Sentinels almost kill you? Wade's words choked on the witch. They went through that battle and met Wolverine in a future plane. Isn't that future almost wiped out by the Sentinels? And this, now reverse that future. There is a future where mutants are on the verge of extinction. Lie down. Dare to love is death? Even Stark couldn't help but sympathize and glance at the mutants. Consider for yourselves what I say. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. If it weren't for the fact that I, Hydra, was just starting out, I would need members to run the organization. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent a lot of money to take you out of this world. Looked at these few people who were shocked for a moment, but still looked at them with suspicion. Stark doesn't explain anymore. Wade was interested. Stark, don't forget to take me. I was the first to propose to join you, Hydra. As soon as Wade's words fell, everyone had not yet reacted. There was a buzzing sound, and it came suddenly. Outside the window, a purple portal that looks like a wormhole opens. 6 figures were revealed. Apocalypse, Red Knight. with the four horsemen of the apocalypse resurrected by the tainted spirit. I really don't know what kind of magical power the Red Knight brings. It was able to bring back the four horsemen of the apocalypse who had been dead for so long from death. The apocalypse has come. In an instant, the majestic power, worthy of being called the ancestor of mutants, spread in an instant. The professor, Lao Wan, and others were all taken aback. As soon as possible, the professor immediately asked the demon girl and the beast to organize the students to leave here. After all, it looks like there's going to be a tough fight. And in Stark's opinion, the man in armor on the other side, who was very similar to himself, made him feel a little uncomfortable. Who is this guy? Hearing Stark's words, Wade, a jack of all trades, immediately jumped to his side. Stark, it's you. I remember, oh yes, it's the defilement of the apocalypse. In that world, you were tainted by the apocalypse and became one of the 680 knights of the apocalypse. It seems to be called the Red Knight. Hearing Wade's words, it wasn't just Stark who was stunned. Even the professor and others were indeed surprised. They were surprised, is there really another world? And if it's true, then maybe what Stark said is true? He can really lead mutants to a carefree, free-to-live world. And don't wait for them to think about it. I saw a laser eye burst out of laser rays, heading straight for the study. The crowd hurriedly retreated. At the same time, with a wave of Lao Wan's hand, a lot of metal gathered and bombarded towards the Red Knight. Rumble. Smoke and dust rose in the air. A rampant sound followed. I said, why, you guys aren't using brainwave amplification. So beloved Mr. Stark is here. Ha 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 ha. It's wonderful. I didn't expect to be here, and I met an Iron Man. Look at that crazy Red Knight. Stark's eyes twitched. What the hell, is this person really another world's self? It looks like my brain is a little abnormal. It seems that the pollution is quite serious. But actually ruined the reputation of my monopoly decent man Iron Man. I won't hammer you to death today. I don't believe in steel. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 258. The Red Knight was also surprised. In this world where there are no Avengers, no Thanos, and all kinds of weird superheroes and villains, only the unknown number of mutants in the universe actually popped out of Iron Man. No wonder Magneto wasn't found in the first place. In that known fate, Magneto's power, strengthened by the apocalypse. That's an improvement of I don't know how much. Originally, he could only be called the Metal King. Finally remembered that his ability was to control magnetism, not metal. At that time, he once controlled the global magnetic field, and the big scene of people was displayed in front of everyone. It only takes a little time to destroy all of humanity. Pity. Since the scene is young, as long as it is taught by a good friend for life, he will say a few words with affection. The scene immediately turned into 2 or 5 boys. And this time, the other 2 or 5 boys will not be looking. But I still want to find Lao Wan. After all, his abilities are indeed good. The remaining sources of pollution should still be able to pollute Lao Wan. It's a pity that no one else was found. Now, too, the Red Knight knows why. It turned out to be messed up by Iron Man. And when the smoke and dust of the ruins cleared, the demonic girl and the others had already gone to organize the evacuation of the students. The professor gathered around Lao Wan and others. And when the apocalypse led the 4 knights to appear, a majestic power emerged, impacting the heart. In the professor's mind, there are pictures one after another. The picture is full of blood and carnage, plague and disease, war and disaster. And the rule of the absolute power of the gods. Eric, looks like we're going to work together again. This time, the opponent has superpower. If we fail, the whole world will perish. Laowan pursed his lips, listened to the professor's words, and said secretly in his heart. It's about Lao Tzu's, destroying the ball. However, if he was really going to be destroyed by that apocalypse, he still had a very unhappy feeling. The good friend arrogantly didn't speak, but the professor could still feel what Laowan was thinking. And Apocalypse, staring straight at Professor X. That powerful psychic ability, that special psychic ability. No wonder in the mouth of the Red Knight, it is also full of praise. His next body is chosen to be him. However, don't wait for him to speak. A voice came from not far away. Hey! Where did you come from? You actually have a face like my Stark. Someone like you, showing up outside, will only ruin my reputation. Stark put on his Iron Man suit, not the holy suit. After all, Laowan is now in a gang. Just be a little wary. Moreover, Thors has been notified to let them pay attention to this place, which can be regarded as a backhand. Even if there is any accident, they can come out to save the scene. As soon as Stark finished speaking, dozens of small missiles burst from his suit, heading straight for the Red Knight. The Red Knight is not in a hurry, and the few laser eyes surrounding him seem to have a strong tracking ability. Quickly unleash a series of lasers to intercept and detonate small missiles. The two Iron Men didn't say a word, and they fought. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are not lagging behind. I saw an order from the apocalypse. For the apocalypse, which was the four knights who were absolutely loyal, burst out in an instant. These four knights are not the 2 or 5 boys that the four apocalypse later chose in their original fate. After all, in the original fate, the apocalypse finally moved the professor, so the good friend Laowan turned back. Moved the demon girl, this is the idol of the storm girl, so it is also against the water. Otherwise, there really must be these 4 loyal knights. Even if it was the power of the phoenix, it might not be able to kill the apocalypse at that time. If you read a violent novel, go to Philo Novel Network. Moreover, now that these 4 knights have been defiled, it is even more powerful. In the middle of the X-Police, the shockwave saw the 4 horsemen attacking, and instantly released a violent ray impact. But one of the female knights, with a wave of her hand, was a shield, completely blocking the rays of the shockwave. Laowan waved his hand, and from the shattered building, strips of metal flew out. The war began in an instant. Not far away, the demon girl and the beast were watching from a distance with a group of students. At this time, Cyclops, Phoenix, and others also drove back. But on the periphery, it was directly stopped. Moreover, Quicksilver, who is known as the most expensive special effect, also came here with a note recording the address. I looked at the address, then at the rumbling explosion in the distance, and at the school that was almost completely demolished. Somewhat confused. Why are you doing demolition today? Hey, don't go in, who are you? The beast grabbed Quicksilver, a stranger, and told him not to go in, lest he be affected by the battle. I'm here to find a professor. Quicksilver also said truthfully. Let's be honest. The energy of the battle in front of him, and the tyrannical energy that permeated the air at that moment. He didn't dare to rely on his speed and venture into the battlefield. On the side, the demon girl looked worried. Charles is still in there, and he must be brought out. The beast grabbed the demonic girl and kept her from causing trouble. I let the Blue Devil in, and with his teleportation, I will be able to bring Charles back soon. As he spoke, the sound of propellers sounded in the sky, and someone came again. Agent Moiro, the reinforcements you called. Moiro shook her head, she had been in a trance all along. It seems that at some point, I have personally experienced the battle of this mutant. Seeing Moiro shake his head, the beast's face furrowed. Raven, take care of the children. After that, he walked towards the unknown person. Laser Eyes on the side adjusted his glasses and became vigilant. The next moment, it was an acquaintance who stepped down from the plane. "It's Stryker!" Raven shouted. It turned out that the person who came down was General Stryker, OK Zhao. He found out that there was a battle in Courtyard X, and hurriedly ran to pick up the leak and catch the mutants. In a flash. After all, the mutants are mainly students, and they have never experienced the battle, so they have not reacted. Stryker's men had already raised their guns. Instant click. Tongues of fire are rising. But Quicksilver is worthy of Quicksilver. This is just a small scene. When everyone looks confused, frightened, and uneasy. He had entered a state where time seemed to pause. In an instant, everyone present shifted to the other side of the gun. Sure enough, I'm the fastest man in the world. Quicksilver couldn't help but sigh. At the same time. Only then did the demon girl react. The laser eye moved his hand and took off his glasses. The laser in both eyes blasted out in an instant. The fighter plane brought by Stryker was smashed to pieces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 259. For a while, there was a roar. Due to Quicksilver's actions, Stryker and his party missed the opportunity. Shockwave's younger brother Laser Eye, that is even more irritable and directly widened. If it weren't for the scruples of the demon girl, there would be agents from the Federation here after all. After all, it's not a good thing to kill a general in front of you. Don't go back to the changed timeline. Force the Federation to start the manufacture of Sentinel robots. The movements of the demon girl were obviously noticed by Professor X. But he can't distract himself from it now, and he has come to communicate with the demon girl and the others. In the spiritual consciousness, the apocalypse was like a giant, pressing and beating Professor X, and he walked so miserably. Raise your fist, it was a hammer down. The nature of Apocalypse's psychic power is indeed different from that of Professor X. But whether Lun is strong or not, it must be the Apocalypse that has the absolute advantage. It can be said that Apocalypse can suppress mutants in all aspects. He's really too strong, with countless mutant abilities. Including that super regeneration, which is not even inferior to Wolverine. In reality, the Blue Devil worriedly lifted the Professor up. While evading the hunt of the War Knights. Iron Man and the Red Knight are in a fight. Laser rays flew in the sky like laser swords, splitting the earth apart. Missiles roared, artillery fire continued to blow up vast dust. The other three horsemen of the apocalypse are fighting with Shockwave and Magneto. What a sturdy armor! Stark muttered. He could be sure that the Red Knight's armor was much stronger than his own. Whether its power and flight systems, or intelligence systems, including firepower, are much higher than their own armor. Stark doesn't look at the chuckles, but he still knows this in his heart. And of course, after all, the world in which the Red Knight is located. That superheroes, and supervillains are just everywhere. He is one of the future four horsemen who follow the apocalypse when the future is tainted. Having a strong and powerful armor is the capital of his conquest as a Red Knight. Waste. Ha. The Red Knight laughed loudly, looking at Stark's armor with black smoke all over his body, very rampant and arrogant. The energy of the laser rays instantly increased, radiating a brilliant energy blast that rushed straight at Stark. Bang bang bang. A loud bang was heard. Stark disappeared into the smoke in an instant. As the saying goes, smoke doesn't hurt, and it's true. The Red Knight can also scan a special energy through his helmet. This guy has a secret weapon. The Red Knight's heavy armor cracked the ground with every step. Seeing this, he took a few steps back. At the same time, a golden light flickered. In the smoke and dust, a figure wearing a golden battle suit instantly appeared. This is Sagittarius Holy Clothes. I don't have a small universe of Saint Seiya, I can only rely on the power stored in the Holy Clothes itself to fight against my own magic. It can't be delayed, it needs to be solved quickly. Stark was well aware of his situation. But at the same time, the eyes were a little intoxicated. After putting on the Holy Clothes, the strength of his whole body surged. It was as if a miniature universe had been added, and the majestic power seemed to be able to shatter the stars with a wave of his hand. And this is not an illusion given by the power of the holy clothing. It's real power. Saint Seiya, it is really a powerful existence, using the power of the stars of the universe. It can even give birth to its own small universe and release powerful energy. Stark, who sighed, narrowed his eyes. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. Jarvis, record my heroic gesture, and I'll pick one out and hang it in our Hydra headquarters office when the time comes. All Hydra members should be able to pay respects. Yes, sir. Do you have an opinion? No, sir. Hearing Jarvis's hesitant words, Stark pouted. Jarvis, aft, is now gradually approaching higher intelligence. Began to be able to have some of its own thinking logic, so it was just now. In fact, it seems to be complaining and joking. What kind of armor is this? The Red Knight's eyes lit up with admiration and amazement. That powerful energy, it seems that there is cosmic energy bound in the battle armor. Stark shook his head. I'm sorry, but I don't have the ability to make such a powerful warframe right now. But Stark's eyes were straight, and he said confidently, just give me a year. I, Stark, will be able to make a warframe that rivals the Sagittarius vestment. Sagittarius Holy Clothes. The Red Knight looked at the golden shirt and thought it was made of gold by Stark. And Stark's words make it clear that he didn't build it. Holy Clothes. A material that binds the energy of the universe. Really nice material. Bang. When he was wandering, a golden light flashed. The huge body of the Red Knight was directly blasted out. There was even a deep fist mark left on the armor, which was surrounded by cracks. But he was not in a hurry, his spirit was linked to the intelligence of the battle armor, and the laser eye hit the light. Today's Sagittarius Gold Saint Seiya Stark, with his wings spread, is extremely fast, as if the fashion is flying by. A golden bow appeared in his hand at the same time. Shoot arrows directly with the bow. The small cosmic energy stored in the holy clothes poured into the war bow in an instant, turning into a golden long arrow. Swish. The long arrow came out of the string, like a shuttle in the Milky Way, shining with bright stars. The Red Knight's intelligence system frantically warns. But the majestic power of the small universe poured out, and it actually suppressed the Red Knight to the point that he couldn't move. The last 3 laser eyes left beside him released their rays and shot straight at the golden arrows. But it doesn't work at all. It's just a blink of an eye. The golden arrow had already sunk into the head of the Red Knight's armor and into the head of the Iron Man. Then the Red Knight didn't even have time to shout out loud before he was swept away by the energy of the small universe from the inside out. Including that armor together. It was washed away and turned into fly ash. Shameful waste. Stark let out a low sigh and grabbed the few Cyclops, which were good. It's a small gain. Kill the Red Knight of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Note that you have been marked by the Apocalypse. Whenever you appear in other numbered parallel universes in your own world, the Apocalypse will hunt you down. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 260. Stark goes berserk and kills the Red Knight in an instant. Apocalypse noticed it immediately. Leaving behind the half-dead professor, he left his spiritual world. This is also a weak person. He didn't care at all about the Red Knight's death. Weak humans, like ants. This world should be led by mutants, and it is up to them to lead the world to the top. This is the case with the apocalypse of another world. However, the resistance of the apocalypse is much greater than that of himself. You can believe it, there are a lot of Omega-level mutants over there. It's like here. It's just a comparison of the power of the Phoenix. And he is a possessor who has no control over his own potential. Don't worry too much. The only thing to worry about. It's this Iron Man, who is also from another world. Unlike the Red Knight, who was tainted by the apocalypse in another world. This is a serious Iron Man. But today, this Iron Man is also a bit unserious. He hung up. It's still a Gold Saint Seiya plug-in. Of course. If one day, he opened Ultraman, or the plug-in of the Armored Warrior. That's not surprising either. The apocalypse still looks light and breezy. He's not pretending. It's about self-confidence in your own strength. He had just woken up, and he didn't feel the changes of the times so much. No one came out. Tell him about this mutant ancestor. Times have changed, my lord. Now it's the world of mankind. Even mutants seek to blend in with humanity and survive. His arrogance, his prejudice, his dictatorship, and his power. All made him ignore these changes. Perhaps, this is the reason for his failure in the original fate. If you are sneaky, you will accumulate strength in secret and act in secret. By the time Professor X found him, it was already late. But he's the apocalypse. Powerful and arrogant dictator. The ancestor of mutants. He's not going to do that. Apocalypse. I've been asleep for so long, what are you doing when you wake up? Isn't it good to keep sleeping? Gold Saint Seiya Stark, majestically stepping on the ruins. It seems that posing in any place is the subconscious of superheroes. A weak mortal, even if he controls a powerful external force. That's still mortal, it's a false god. How can the power and glory of the true God be seen directly by you false gods? Apocalypse said lightly, as if he was expounding the facts of the past and present. His word is the truth. It's a pity, no matter how much you lose your words, someone has to believe it. Maybe tell it to those mutants who are in dire straits, and you can still believe it. But tell Stark. That is to play the piano to the cow. Bang. Stark didn't talk nonsense at all, and just got to it. With a wave of his hand, several arrows of light burst out. In front of the apocalypse, it was blocked by a shield and exploded. Then, Apocalypse looked directly at Stark, and his heart moved. Stark felt his heart tremble in an instant, and his mind was in a trance. In an instant, the sixth sense of the wholly clothed small universe exploded, stabilizing the mind. Stark knew that the apocalypse had many abilities and could not be guarded against. The moment you wake up, it is a bottle of medicine that increases spiritual protection. At the same time, various protective potions, and buff potions, as well as scrolls and talismans. As if he didn't want money, it flashed on him. With that golden body, you can blind other people's eyes. Seeing this, Apocalypse waved his hand slightly. The ground instantly turned to quicksand, including the ruins that Stark had stepped on. Seems to be about to trap Stark in quicksand. At the same time, around the quicksand, the soil rolls and squeezes. In the process of reassembling, it turned into fine sand, which then condensed into sharp metal thorns that stabbed Stark. Of course, in the heat of battle. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. It would be nice to ignore Wade, Deadpool Wade, who is not far away, frantically taking pictures of Stark. I just heard him still muttering. Handsome. Real men should wear gold suits. Worthy of being a rich man, his armor is unique. Envy. I'll have to find a time to steal this armor. Wade muttered. Everything around was suddenly sanded, turning into a blade like thin sand, instantly cutting Wade into pieces. Normal people should all be dead. It's a pity that this guy is a Deadpool who can regenerate as long as he has a cell. Hey, green skin, there's something wrong with you. I'm filming Stark, what are you hitting me for? I think. Poof. A patch of sand instantly buried Wade's still muttering head into the soil. Good guys, even the members of my Hydra dare to kill. Stark just shook his head for a moment, and Wade was directly killed. He couldn't help but feel sad. Sad fart. This guy deserves to die, nagging and thinking about it, and he almost didn't let himself go crazy. Even the night before coming to X Academy, Wade was still sticky. Nearly didn't let Stark go berserk. It's a big deal to wait until the business is done, and then resurrect him. After all. This Wade said that he nagged a little. But he actually has the ability to travel through parallel worlds, and knows what is happening in many worlds. And the most important thing is that this guy has joined Hydra. This is a member of his own. Is it also your Apocalypse that can kill indiscriminately? Bang. The holy robe swayed, its wings flickered, and the metal spikes shattered, and its body rose from the quicksand. But on the ground, the matter was sandified, and then reorganized by the Apocalypse, turning into a dense spike that pierced Stark. And Stark, I saw him shake his body. Susanoo. A huge giant in armor was revealed. It turned out that Stark had installed himself with an eternal kaleidoscope. When Susanoo comes out, the golden holy clothes on his body flashed with golden light, instantly covering the entire Susanoo's entire body. At this point, Susanoo, who was dressed in Sagittarius gold holy clothes, appeared. Bells and whistles. In the distance, Thor pouted. The Meow hammer in his hand glows brilliantly, which is the light of Ad 12 enhancement. It seems that Slento is not bad for a righteous brother. So. Wade was recovering half dead, lying on the ground, looking at the shape of such a sow bag, and exclaimed. And that huge Susanoo, a huge golden holy bow appeared in his hand at this moment. Explode, my little universe. All the power of the holy garment, Susa can be all the power, all accumulated into a point. It turned into a translucent golden arrow and flew out in an instant. That speed. Even Quicksilver can't keep up. Neither does the Apocalypse's strong dynamic power. This arrow pierced directly through the Apocalypse. Then the bombardment exploded on the ground. No loud noises, no fires. There was only a golden light of annihilation. In an instant, the Apocalypse was annihilated to the point that there was no scum left. A huge crater was annihilated in the ground. Wide.